The second thing we want to take a look at today is factoring trinomials using the distributive property. Now, both Ms. Clarenbach and myself, I think, prefer the box method. So in our examples, for the rest of the stuff tomorrow, we're going to stick with using that box method, but it's always good to show you a second method, and maybe you really like this one, right? So how can I factor using the distributive property instead? Well, remember, my distributive property when I multiplied said I need to multiply 3x to both x and negative 2. Right? The long way to write this out that we don't usually show, right, is that we're going to take 3x times x minus 2, and we're going to take positive 1 times x minus 2. Right? We have to distribute the 3x to both terms and the plus 1 to both terms. Then we actually do the distributing. So if I distribute 3x times x, I get 3x squared. 3x times negative 2 is negative 6x. 1 times x is 1x, and 1 times negative 2 is negative 2. We get 4 pieces. These would be the same 4 pieces we would have gotten in a box, right? But now it turns out that I can combine these two middle pieces, right, to write my final answer as 3x squared minus 5x minus 2. Okay. So now how do I do that in reverse? So if I start with this bottom, how do I work backwards? Well, the first thing I need to do is make my middle term here into 2 terms, right? So it took 2 pieces to make up that middle term. So if I do that, I'm going to do that the same way we did before. There's that cool pattern that every time we do a problem like this, if I multiply these 2 pieces together, I'm going to get the same thing as if I multiply these 2 pieces together, right? So if I multiply 6 and 15, I know I need 2 numbers that multiply to 90, but also add up to positive 19. Right, so we're using our x the same way we did with the box method. So what are my 2 numbers that multiply to 90 and add up to 19? Well, I think those 2 numbers, right, anytime you're stuck, you can always make a list if it doesn't jump out in your head right away. 1 times 90, 2 times 45, 3 times 30, 4 doesn't work, 5 times 18, 6 times 15, 7 doesn't work, 8 doesn't work, 9 times 10, and then 10 would be the next one, but it's already there. Which ones add up to 19? Oh, 9 and 10 add up to 19. So then I can rewrite my equation in 4 pieces. So if I do that, that means I would have 6x squared plus, and now the order I write 9 and 10 in doesn't matter. So plus 9x plus 10x plus 15. And then I treat this like 2 greatest common factor problems. I find the greatest common factor of the first 2 terms and the greatest common factor of the next 2 terms. Okay, so I factor those first 2 terms like its own problem, and the second 2 terms like its own problem. So what is the biggest thing I can divide 6x squared and 9x both by? Well, I think the biggest thing would be just 3x. So I'm going to take out that 3x, or undistribute my 3x, and what would be left if I divide both of those by 3x? Well, I would still have 2x plus 3. And then the biggest thing I can divide by in those second group, or the second pair, was 5. So positive 5. And then what would be left? Well, 2x plus 3. And now that should look a whole lot like this step right here, right, where we first distributed. So that means the 3x plus 5 was my first factor, and then the 2x plus 3 must have been what I was distributing to in that second factor. So again, really we're doing the same thing as the box method, it's just without drawing the box, right? We kind of did even draw the box because I put little squares around those two pieces, but those would have just ended up being the two different rows in the box. Right? So it works out the same way, or at least we get the same answer with either method, okay? And it's going to be up to you which method you use. We're going to use the box method the most because I think it helps you keep the most organized, and more people said they like the box method for multiplying anyways. But one more quick example using this method together. So my first step, if I want to factor using the distributive property, is to break my middle term into two pieces. So I have 4 pieces all together. And I do that using a diamond. So I know x squared times 14 is just 14x squared, or 1 times 14 is 14. So I need the two pieces I break negative 9x into to multiply to 14, but add to negative 9. So what two numbers multiply to 14 and add to negative 9? Well, it's not 1 and 14, so it must be 2 and 7. It's just to multiply to a positive but add to a negative, they must both be negative. So I can rewrite this as x squared minus 2x minus 7x plus 14. Then I want to look at this as two separate problems. Right? If I look at the first two terms, what is my greatest common factor? Well, it turns out the biggest thing I can divide them both by is an x. So when we factor out that x, we put the x in the front, and then what's left goes in parentheses. So x times x was x squared, and x times negative 2 got us negative 2x. And we do the same thing in the next pair. And it looks like, since there's a negative in the front, remember, if there's a negative in the front, we always want a negative greatest common factor. I can divide both of those by negative 7. And then when I'm done dividing, I still have x, and negative 7 times negative 2 was positive 14. Then x minus 7 was one factor, and x minus 2 was the other factor. Right? If for some reason you factor using this method and these two parts are different, right, then you made a mistake. Right? It has to turn out that those are the same if we factored correctly. And seeing if you could practice a little bit more factoring it. For the rest of these formative problems, it is up to you to pick whichever method you prefer.